Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, Parashat Kedoshim. We are all still recovering from the festivities of Pesach, and we immediately are sent into a radical and difficult transition as we commemorate the memory of the 6 million Jews slaughtered during the years of the Holocaust. Parashat Kedoshim, so appropriately situated this year. All these holy souls that were taken away from us presents us with a difficult challenge. Kedoshim tihiyu, we're told. Be holy. Be sanctified. What does that mean? How do we live our lives in such a way in which one would say, Ki am kadoshata, you are a sanctified nation? Curiously, the Torah starts this parsha with the words, Daber el kol adat b'nei Yisrael, ve'amarta alehem kedoshim tihiyu, sanctified you should be, because kadosh ani Hashem Elokeichem. I am your God and am sanctified. Tell us Chazal, Daber el kol adat b'nei Yisrael, it has to be said to all of the people of Israel, that this particular parsha had to be said behakel, with everyone gathered around. And why is that? Because most of the bodies of Torah are hinged upon this parsha. Most of the bodies of the Torah are hinged in this parsha? I remember growing up thinking that this is the parsha in which most of the mitzvahs are concentrated, until I noticed that there's a whopping total of 51 mitzvot in this parasha. There are many parashot that have more mitzvot in it. What is so unique about this parasha that required gathering everyone around? And why is the laws of the Torah hinged upon our proper understanding of the messages of this parasha? I'd like to start off by giving a drush. If you notice carefully at the beginning of the parasha, after we are told that we have to be sanctified because God is holy, the pasuk ends with Ani Hashem Elokeichem. The next pasuk, Ish aviv imo v'aviv tirau ve'et shaptotai tishmoru. Man has to revere his mother and father and keep Shabbat because I am your God. And the next pasuk is Al tifnu el elim ve'elohei masecha lo tasu lechem. Don't turn to idols and do not worship statues or masks, because Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Sounds kind of repetitive. If it wasn't God saying these words, it's almost like an act of megalomania. Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. We got the point. Why the repetition? My father pointed out to me that there's a very profound and deep message here. We often think that we could judge another Jew by the virtue of his behavior. How foolish we are when we are not able to see the great holiness of another Jew. Comes the Torah and tells us, yes, you may think that you are able to be holy and therefore you are worthy of the relationship with God, in which God says, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Yes, that's a wonderful step, a wonderful goal to be a holy nation. But you should know that there are people that are not going to achieve such greatness. For them, the essence of what they do is going to be that they're going to respect their parents, they're going to keep Shabbos. Simple Jews, following the rules, following the laws. They don't have any high aspirations to reach spiritual heights. They don't live as holy beings. They don't consider themselves to be very righteous. Nonetheless, says Kadosh Baruch Hu, from my perspective, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. And you should know that even if one is so far removed, in which they don't know how to observe any of the laws, but they do understand one fundamental truth, and that is, you cannot turn to false idols. You cannot worship false gods. One has a true underpinning faith in the presiding of God over our world, God will embrace him and say, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. And you too should do the same. Shomer goy kadosh, shmor sherit am kadosh. Va'al yovad goy kadosh hameshalshim beshalosh kedushot lekadosh. The protector of a sanctified nation should continue to protect this sanctified people. And may this sanctified people not lost because they triple in front of God. Kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. The Kuzari points out that any time a word is tripled like that, it means for all eternity, for the absolute, complete amount. Sanctity is not something that could clearly be measured. It's a state of mind. We are taught by Chazal that there are 3 prongs of sanctity that intersect with one another. We have the sanctity of man, which indeed, man is sacred, and there are different types of men. One may become holier by virtue of their behavior, and may be holy simply by virtue of his birthright, such as a Kohen has a higher level of Kedusha than a regular man. And a Kohen Gadol is even holier than that. Perhaps the word sanctified would be more appropriate in the context of that sentence. The second type of sanctification is the sanctification of place. Yes, indeed, Eretz Yisrael is sanctified more than all other lands throughout this planet. And within Eretz Yisrael, Yerushalayim is sanctified more than the rest of the land. And within Yerushalayim, Har HaBayit is sanctified more than that, and Beit HaMikdash is sanctified more than that, and the Kodesh more than that, and Kodesh or Kodashim. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh is where the ultimate sanctity is achieved in terms of place. The same applies to the principle of time. Time as well can be sanctified. We can sanctify every moment of our lives, but there are those times that are inherently more sanctified than others. Just as Shabbat has a greater deal of sanctity than the weekdays of the week, so too does Yom Kippur achieve the status of a Shabbat Shabbaton, a higher level of sanctity, a special day. These forces intersect with one another. And just as on every single Shabbat we sanctify the time by sanctifying the place within which we live, and we elevate the sanctity of man, we may achieve the ultimate intersection of these 3 prongs on Yom Kippur. The process that we are introduced through in this parsha is to highlight to us that throughout our lifetime, in everything that we're doing, from the mundane to the most spiritual moments of our lives, we can achieve sanctity. The commandment of Kedoshim to you doesn't mean be holy all the time. It is ludicrous. In fact, there are many times in which we have to become tameh. It is a requirement at times to be tameh. Just as we learned several weeks ago, at the great moment in which a woman brings a new life into this world. But yet, our objective is to seek out holiness. One is not required to live Shabbos for 7 days a week. In fact, one is prohibited from doing so. If one did not have 6 days of work, one could not properly celebrate Shabbos. Sheshet Yemei HaMaaseh are an integral part of the celebration of Shabbat. Our great task is to find the sanctity within the whole, to elevate every experience that we have and do to an aspect of sanctity. You know how we become Kedoshim? Do you know how we achieve sanctity? By the simple act of tying our shoes. What do I mean? A particular, peculiar law that relates to the procedures of our dress code in the morning. I remember as a child mocking the comment in which we have a process by which we have to tie our shoes. You have to put in your right foot first, then you have to put in your left foot. Then you have to tie the left shoe, and then you have to tie the right shoe. Oh, come on, what difference does it make? Does God really care how we tie our shoes? Indeed He does. What Chazal were trying to teach us is that even with something simple and mundane as tying one's shoes, something totally unimportant that is a necessary part of getting your act together to start off your day, there is a way to do it the Jewish way. There's a way to do it in such a way that it enhances and brings sanctity to your life. What is supposed to happen to you mentally when you tie your shoes is saying, I'm starting off my day as a Jew, celebrating my ability to serve God. May I hope that everywhere I walk today, I walk with a sense of majesty, with a sense of holiness, with a sense of purpose. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. May we celebrate the holiness of our people, and may we find holiness in every aspect of our lives. And by living our lives with a sense of goal of holiness, we would achieve Kedoshim tihiyu laHashem Elokechem. Shabbat Shalom.